Joining us, Gerald Lovato. You there, man?
Hello, Mark. Thanks for
How's it
having me on
going?
the show. Pretty good. How are you?
Awesome. So, what were you up to tonight?
I was just relaxing. It's actually going to be 10:30 over here in Albuquerque, so I usually put my kids to bed pretty early. So yeah, I'm just getting ready for bed.
Good deal, man. So let's get started. How did you get your start in mixed martial arts?
It actually started with an incident that happened, a street fighting incident, when I was 22 years old. It was about 10 years ago. I was involved in this street fight. It was kind of a bar fight after one of the bars was closed inside the parking lot of the bar, and I ended up getting stabbed in that street fight.
Oh, wow.
And, yeah, nearly lost my life. So I was looking for something to build my self-confidence because, I felt very vulnerable. And Albuquerque is a pretty rough place to grow up, and people are pretty violent here. It's kind of it's a growing city with a small town mentality. So, that's how I kind of stumbled onto MMA 2 years later after I was stabbed, and I just started training just to build my self-confidence. I didn't even know what MMA was. I had even looked into some karate schools, and I kind of was floating around trying to find my place, and I walked into this gym called Fit NHB, and they're the first mixed martial arts school here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. So I just kind of fell in love with it. Felt like I was home.
So, growing up, you didn't do any wrestling or any other martial arts?
Yeah, it was a surprise to me that I became a professional fighter because I didn't have any sports background.
Wow.
I was kind of a troubled kid growing up. We were poor, grew up in bad neighborhoods. I was a gangbanger, and I got my girlfriend pregnant when I was 17, and it made me grow up pretty quick. So, I got my stuff together, and I was out of trouble, but it was just a surprise that I was gonna, end up being a professional athlete because I'd never done any type of sports training.
Wow. Okay. We mentioned actually. Go ahead.
Oh no, I know it's a lot different than most mixed martial arts fighters. They've all been wrestling since they were 5 and.
Right. Yeah, for sure. So you mentioned your training school. How often do you train?
I train pretty much every day. I take a day off here and there. Usually listen to my body. If I have a fight coming up, I have a strict schedule that I follow. But like right now, I don't have anything that's scheduled. So I'll train every day until I feel like my body needs a rest. Sometimes I train 7 days a week. Sometimes I'll take a day off or 2 days off that week. Or usually on my days off, I still do like some running or something.
Okay, and are you training like full time, or do you have another job on the side? How's it working?
Yeah, I train full time, and I'm also an instructor at the school. I teach private lessons, and I also I run the kids program. We have a kids mixed martial arts program that I teach.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So that keeps me pretty busy. I'm pretty much at the gym all day. I have a couple hours that I'm able to pick up my kids from school and stuff like that, and then I'm back at the gym.
Wow, you're a busy man.
Yeah, absolutely.
What weight do you usually walk around at?
I normally walk around at 55, 60.
Okay.
So I've had fights at 155, I've had fights at 145, and I've had fights at 135. I think the most comfortable weight for me to fight at is 145 after experimenting through all the different weight classes. Right.
Now, how difficult is it on your body cutting down to 135?
It was very difficult. What I didn't realize is that I was going to lose muscle mass when I was cutting down to 35, and therefore I was going to be able to lose less water. which I wasn't planning on. I thought I'd cut the same amount of water as I normally cut when I cut to 45, but I didn't realize my body mass was going to be lower. So yeah, the fights I've had at 35 were my best fights, I don't think.
No.
I think I fight a lot better when I'm at 45. It's not as hard on my body.
Okay. Let's see what else here. We're talking King of the Cage for a second here. You've been on quite a run with King of the Cage. I was looking at your record. You've won 7 out of 8 fights. Is that where you're most comfortable right now?
You know, King of the Cage has been a great organization. They've taken care of me. But you know, I do fight other organizations. It just depends on wherever my management thinks that my best move would be for me. Yeah, so that's basically I leave it up to my manager, and I just fight. I just train and I fight.
For sure.
You know, of course I'm looking towards you know, bigger stages, like the ultimate goal, of course, UFC.
Yeah.
But you know, till then I'm just gonna keep, you know, paying my dues and putting on great performances.
Okay, so we're talking a lot of MMA organizations you've been with. What is your greatest accomplishment in MMA?
I think my greatest accomplishment coming from growing up as a poor kid here in New Mexico and being able to fight overseas in Japan. I didn't actually win the fight when I fought in Judo in Japan. I didn't actually win the fight. I had a very good fight in Judo, but I ended up losing the third round in an armbar. But just being able to have that experience to compete internationally at a high level with, you know, number 5 ranked, you know, 145er in the world, it was awesome. It was an awesome experience. You know, I never had dreamed that I would come that far. So
for sure. So what was the overall experience outside of the cage or the ring when you went over there? You know, the Japanese people and everything. How'd that go for you?
The culture, I was just very impressed with how educated they were on MMA. And I just noticed a lot of differences whenever compared to the fans here in the United States. Like that, they were like, even though I lost the fight, as I was walking out of the arena, I heard them cheering and clapping, and it was just like I turned around and looked, and I noticed that they're clapping for me. And, you know,
wow.
and I gave them a bow, and it was just like, you know, they were just happy that I put on an awesome fight. So, you know, they appreciated it, and it just made my experience that much better.
Nice. Okay, do you get nervous before your fights?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that it's normal to get nervous. I find I've found my own ways to kind of deal with the anxiety, you know, the pre-fight jitters or whatever.
Yeah.
So, I use music a lot.
Okay. Let's see here. What sort of injuries have you had in your career?
Let's see. During my fights, I've had a few training injuries. I've broken my hands, my foot. But I've actually done that during fights too. I've broken my hand, my foot, my ribs.
Wow.
That's about it.
Okay. Big fight this weekend. Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Who do you like? Jones versus Machida.
I'm going for Jones. I think that I really like his Muay Thai style. It's I like to do a lot of spinning techniques, and I've trained in Thailand, and I use a lot of Muay Thai in my fights, and similar to John Jones, and you know, I think that his striking and using his wrestling as well is going to be able to make the difference in that fight.
For sure. Any street fight stories besides the street fight you mentioned at the start of the show?
Yeah, I've had a lot of street fights growing up or whatever. I guess the most recent one was probably about a year ago.
Okay.
I was on my way to practice. I was actually on my way to teach kids class, and I had just picked up my my 13-year-old daughter. Well, she was 13 at the time. She's 14 now. But I just picked her up, and our gym is located downtown Albuquerque, and there's a lot of courthouses right near our gym. And I was at the spot. I was at the street light, waiting for my arrow to turn. And there's some guys right on the corner, and you could just tell they were just drunk or something was wrong with them. They were just, just real rowdy, yelling at cars going by or whatever. And I was just like thinking, I hope I get this arrow so I could turn.
Yeah.
I didn't want them to, confront me or whatever. And I did get the arrow. When I got the arrow, they started walking, and they walked in front of my car. And of course, I stopped for them, but the guy flipped me off and hit the hood of my car, and I just felt really just violated and threatened because my daughter was in the car.
Yeah.
And so they finished. I let them pass, and they walked across the street, and I pulled into the parking lot there, and the guy came up to my car, and I was just like, hey man, I got my little girl in the car. Please show some respect or whatever. And the guy was just, just went off. And I don't know what got into me, but I jumped out of the car. I rolled up my windows and locked the doors and gave my phone to my daughter. And it was three guys. And they just, as soon as I jumped out of the car, they started swinging on me, and I ended up fighting all three of these guys.
Wow, dude. That's crazy.
It was right in front of the courthouse, about a block away from my gym. And then, I had pretty much dropped all three of them, and then so I started seeing all these cops running up, and so I just put my hands up, and I was like, I was just defending myself or whatever, and they handcuffed me or whatever, and they put me on my knees, and those guys were resisting, and I wasn't resisting, I was just complying with the cops or whatever, and then the worst part about this whole thing is I'm sitting there on my knees, handcuffed. I look over and I see one of my students and his dad driving by. I was so embarrassed.
Oh wow!
Because that's not what I'm trying to teach the kids.
For sure.
And another funny story about that is there was a couple with their kid going into a jewelry store that was in that parking lot, and they saw the whole thing, and I guess their 5-year-old son saw the whole thing, and ever since that, he had been wanting to learn how to fight, and they ended up finding me, and now he's one of my students.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, it's kind of crazy, interesting story.
Yeah, but, sure. No, that's an awesome street fighting story, man. Awesome. Okay, here's another one. If you could fight anyone in mixed martial arts, who would it be and why?
Genki Sudo. I know he's retired, and I know it's just the way I want to be remembered is like he was remembered, like his style.
Yeah.
Just his artistic performances. That's how I want to leave an impression in people's mind, like a work of art, a masterpiece.
Okay, for sure. And before we let you go, we broke down the main event for the UFC 140 in Toronto. Wanting to get your picks on the other main card fights. Mir versus Nogueira.
Frank Mir.
Tito Ortiz versus Nogueira.
Tito.
Claude Patrick versus Brian Ebersol.
Not familiar with either one of them.
Okay, and we'll just move along.
On that one, yeah.
Yeah, and Mark the Machine Hominick versus the Korean Zombie.
Mark Hominick.
Good picks, man. I'm actually on the same side for every one of those
cool.
fights. I think Hominick's going to get it done. hoping for Ortiz. I don't know if that's more hoping than realistic thinking, but hoping for Ortiz.
Yeah.
You know, Murr got
yeah, I mean, the way I picked him was just like the fighters that I like.
Yeah.
Or whatever, you know.
Yeah. Okay, so wrapping up the interview, got any sponsors, Twitter, Facebook, whatever you want to promote? Go ahead.
Yeah, anybody that wants to follow me on Twitter, it's Gerald Lovato MMA. I got a Facebook fan page. You can also find me on Google+. My website, geraldlovato.com. And as far as sponsors, hiphopsun.com, Max Muscle Rio Rancho, and Classic Barbershop here in Albuquerque. And also, I'd like to thank my team, Fit NHB, and also our sister gym, Power MMA in Gilbert, Arizona.
Good stuff, man. Hopefully we'll have you back on the show once you have a confirmed fight and we can talk it up a little bit.
Yeah, I would love it. I'd love to be back on the show, man. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. I was excited when you contacted me. Thank you very much.
We appreciate it. So we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks, Mark.
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye.